Tuesday. It is Tuesday, March 31st in the year 2026, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Well, a jury found Meta and YouTube negligent in the design or operation of their social media platforms, producing a bellwether verdict in the first lawsuit to take the technical giants to trial for social media addiction. I know some people who've got that, I guess. The trial began last month in the Los Angeles County courtroom and included testimony from Mark Zuckerberg and other tech executives. It was the first in a consolidated group of cases brought against Meta and other companies by more than 1,600 plaintiffs, including over 350 families, 250 school districts. Outside the courtroom, families who say their children were harmed by social media embraced as they celebrated the verdict, telling reporters they feel vindicated. Spokesman for Meta and Google said the companies disagree with the verdict and plan to appeal, and that's no surprise, so we'll see what happened. But the jury decided on a $2.1 million in punitive damages for Meta and $900,000 for YouTube, totaling $3 million. It's a small fraction of the $1 billion in punitive damages the plaintiffs' counsel sought. So we'll follow that as we go and see what happens next. So our G-List guest today is Dr. Kristen Welsh. Dr. Welsh is a chiropractor at Care More Chiropractic in Roswell, Georgia, where she specializes in helping individuals and families optimize movement, function, and overall health. She was raised in a chiropractic family. Dr. Kristen brings a lifelong understanding of the connection between the spine, the nervous system, and whole body performance. And we have some personal information, personal testimony from our good friend Michael Walker. We look forward to that conversation. So our show today is brought to you by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Girl continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to our roundtable discussion and talk with Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker and see what's happening in their worlds this morning. Good morning, Barbara Wallace-Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Enjoying some of this beautiful weather we've been having.
Well, it was real windy down here, and I just got back yesterday. And so, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
But it's a little too windy.
Oh, okay.
So, hopefully this afternoon, it'll level out, hopefully.
I hope so. March will be ending today, so maybe these March winds will go away with it.
That's right.
Tomorrow is April Fool's.
That's right. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Boy, my mom and I we were big April Fools, trying to fool each other. I'd call her up with some way out of the way story, and she'd get sucked into it. And I'd say, April Fool.
My family really has never really gotten into April Fools, except one of my nieces. She's really big on it. She and her husband really got me good one year. They just had a baby. The baby was probably 3 months old, and she called and said, "Are you sitting down?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "I mean, are you by yourself?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm in my office. What's the big deal?" She said, "I don't know how to say this, but we're expecting again." I was like, "What?" Baby, you got a 3-month-old baby. This is her first. I was like, "Are you serious?" She said, "Yeah, we don't really know what to do. we just got a new one. We're new parents, and we just, this is going to be tough. And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Just bring me the baby. It's going to be okay. And they went on for a good 30, 40 minutes, and she finally was like, April Fools. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Yes.
I don't have anybody that plays April Fool with me anymore.
Yeah.
So, boy, we did. That was so much fun, though.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I went to college, my mom would call me up and have some weird story, and I'd go for it, something about somebody in the family, and then she'd say, April Fool, and she'd be laughing so hard, boy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tomorrow also happens to be another big day in our family. One of my cousins, Alison Wallace Smith, will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow. She was April Fool's baby. So happy birthday, wow. Alison. She's normally watching the show, so hopefully she's watching this morning.
Well, happy birthday to her.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's get Michael Walker on here and see what's going on with him this morning. Good morning, Michael Walker. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. Good morning, TG. Good morning to you, Barbara. I hope you both are doing well.
You ever play April Fools, Michael?
Yes, I did all the time growing up. And it's funny that Barbara brought this up. I have a cousin that is born on April Fool's Day.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
I always get him because we always call each other. I call him on his birthday. He calls me on mine. But I always play a joke on him before I tell him happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I have gone so far as to, at one time, a girl that I was dating at one time, I had her call him and tell him that she saw him in the supermarket and how fine he was and all of this stuff. And how she wanted to get with him and stuff. Oh, it was hilarious. And he fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
I was about to say, when she first said April's Fools to him, he probably got mad. It's like,
he probably did.
Yeah. He started asking for a phone number. I pick up the phone and I said, April Fools.
Yeah, Barbara, I'm glad you brought that up this morning.
Yes.
I hadn't done that in a while. See, that was me and my mom's thing. Michael, what's going on with you, brother?
Well, I wanted to talk to you guys, as Barbara mentioned as well. This is the last day of March, and it is the last day of celebrating Women's History Month.
Yes.
And given that, we've all talked about the women in our lives and the role models and the inspiration from them. But I wanted to share with you a story that is very inspiring from a woman from Chattanooga. Well, she lives in Chattanooga, but originally she was from Union Springs, Alabama. And her name is Mary Hardaway Walker. No relation to me, at least I don't know of. But here's the deal about Mary. Mary defied odds. She was denied an education because of slavery and made history by learning to read at the remarkable age of 116 years old.
Wow.
116? 116 years old.
Wow.
She was born into slavery in 1848, Union Springs, Alabama. She was freed when she was 15 years old after the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 and began building a life that followed the Civil War. And she was married a couple times and what have you. She moved to Chattanooga at the age of 69 with her family in 1917. Wow. And that's where she would spend the rest of her life. And over that time, she outlived 3 husbands and all 3 of her sons. But she was determined to achieve a lifelong goal. And at the age of 115, Walker enrolled in Chattanooga Area Literacy Movement in 1963. And at age 16, she learned to read, write, and earning the recognition as the nation's oldest student by the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That is amazing.
That is,
yes.
Great.
Thanks
Her
for sharing that,
achievement brought
Michael.
national attention honors, including recognition from Presidents Lyndon B. Johnson and Richard Nixon. and there are towers named after her in downtown Chattanooga.
Wow.
That's great.
That's great, man. That's a heck of a
Yes,
story.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Michael.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable. And then we have another lady here in Georgia that just came out that says never too late to learn at 90. And 3 days a week, she drove herself to West Georgia Technical College, where she's working towards her GED.
Wow.
And she's never missed a time. And her most favorite course is math.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You hear about, older. Yes, that's right. You hear about, older people going back to college, but this is the first that I've heard someone that age going to just learn how to read and basic, learning. Just, yeah, that's amazing. Amazing.
It really is. Really,
Yes.
really is. That's
The lady in Georgia, her name is Helen Woodyard, and she says the first thing she's going to do once she graduates is she is going to go out and uplift and teach other adults how to read that didn't get the opportunity.
That's amazing.
I can imagine not knowing how to read,
I know, Tom.
That would
is
be
amazing.
how do you negotiate the world, man?
Right.
The
story I talked about last week, the young lady who graduated from high school in 2022 was reading on the first grade level. How do people go through life like that? And especially in this day and age, it's I don't know how they do it.
Imagine I guess what's that thing? You can't miss what you never had. So I guess if they never knew, they don't know that they're missing something. I mean, they know they can't read, but
right.
How do you conquer that? You got to have some help to conquer that, probably.
That's true.
Yes. And that's like what you were about to say, Tom. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So
that's right.
Somebody who's been sheltered from that, they didn't know, and so now to find this out, and that just goes to show you about the human mind and the will to not quit. When you talk about these two women and the odds that were against them and what they were faced with, and the fact that they, even at such an advanced age, where a lot of people nowadays are demented or have suffer from dementia, they are learning,
right,
and excelling. So, I mean,
that's a great story.
Yeah, that's a warm place in your heart. Really.
It is, really is.
They were considered. My dad worked at the pipe shop, and they were considering him for some type of move to be a supervisor, whatever. And so he had to learn all these things. And I remember watching him sit there at the table with my mom, who we saw her report card. My mom made all A's
right.
and everything. And he was having to learn this stuff.
Yes.
And, you got to give him credit for the courage to even try to learn something that's so foreign for you.
That's so true.
My dad said that, when he would go to school, his dad he dropped out of school in the 6th grade because they had to work in the field.
Right.
He went back and got a GED later. So, I just can't imagine that, man. That'd just be something hard to do. And
that reminds me.
The wonderful thing about my dad was that he was always encouraging us to get an education. That was the most important thing to him,
right?
For us to have. But go ahead, Barbara. Sorry.
I was just going to say that reminded me of a family member of mine who we didn't realize he couldn't read, but he didn't want to go vote. He was just dead set on not voting. And my mom, who was an advocate about voting and, getting involved in the community, she would sit down and try to talk to him. And finally he told her in private, I think, that he couldn't read. And so that was why he didn't want to go vote, because he couldn't read the names on the ballot and he didn't know who he was voting for. So she sat down and taught him how to read. And when he went to vote, that was like a moment for him that I don't think he'll probably ever forget, the first time he was able to go to vote. And so that's, it happens.
They used to keep people from voting by giving them a test. My daddy said he had to take the test the first time.
Yes.
He didn't pass it. You don't know whether you pass it or not because you don't know this information that's on the test.
That's right.
You know, and I have another one for you guys. I was in our alma mater's town yesterday and day before yesterday, whatever. And I went to this hotel. I always stay at the
Hotel and Conference Center.
University Hotel.
Right.
But I stayed at this hotel called the Graduate, I think.
Yes.
I had never stayed there. I didn't know anything about it, whatever. But anyway, and I saw the little stuff, and I went upstairs because the supper club has moved.
War Eagle Supper Club.
It's upstairs now.
And this is always interesting to me because whenever people ask me, well, did you guys go to the supper club? And I always say no. We weren't allowed in the supper club. And the whole tone of the conversation changes.
Right.
They feel as though they've done something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just telling you that's the way it was. We weren't allowed in the supper club. You were black. When James went, some of the guys took him one night, and that man told them they had to leave. And if they were going to be with him, they had to leave with him. You know, and so it was just interesting. It's just interesting. And when you say that stuff now, people think that happened so long ago that there was no way you could have been involved in it, you know? And so it was just interesting because I had that conversation just recently with a young lady who went to Auburn, and she started asking me about the supper club. And,
it's funny that you brought that up, Tom, because one of my high school classmates, Steve Pellin, who works at the university now, he sent out an email to all of us from that went to high school together, letting us know that the War Eagle Supper Club had reopened now, and it was at the top of the Graduate, as well as I know the guy that is behind doing that. He and I have we run in the same circles here in Atlanta, and when Steve sent out the email, he did the history and talked about War Eagle Supper Club and how when it first opened, it was only white males that were allowed in there. So there weren't even women that were allowed. It was just for white males and stuff. But he did the history and brought it up to the date and was saying, hey, guys, let's go to the supper club when you guys are in town and what have you. And I remember my first time I was at Auburn when I went to the War Eagle Supper Club. And I had heard how it was prohibited for people of color and everybody else except for white males. And the first time I went in there, I'm like, this is a bunch of junk. And you know how I dress. You know how I dress when I go out. I'm like, I don't even want to walk in here. Look at this floor. My shoes are too nice to be in here. I didn't even, I turned around and left. Because
it was beneath you anyway, wasn't it, Michael? Yeah. Right.
It didn't meet my standards. It was beneath me when I walked in there dressed up like I usually dress up.
You would have thought it was some really nice exclusive place the way they didn't want blacks and I think women were finally allowed to attend even before blacks were.
Women were allowed when we were there. I think women could go in there. But,
we still were not allowed.
I was like, well, y'all can keep this. I don't ever want to come back. And to be honest, I never went back because I thought it was beneath me.
I never even once they put James out, it's like, well, if they put James out, then probably the nicest man on the campus.
Right.
I'm not going to even try to go.
But you passed by it. It always looked like a little hole in the wall to me, so I was never interested in going. But it didn't look like any place nice. I wanted to go anyway.
I did go upstairs there and get a drink, but I didn't go in the little, I guess, the food area or what.
Right. So Tom, did you go to the alumni weekend for the football?
No, I did not. I did not. That was Saturday. I didn't go down there. Our meeting was on Sunday. And I'll just be honest with you. I'm just kind of tired of going up and down the road. So
I can understand that.
At least I can do it better off I am. So no, I saw where Cedric and Geraldine were there.
Yes. Looks like they had a big crowd there. Jairus is doing a great job of getting the alums involved. Yes.
I think one of the things you asked me if I was there, people don't understand that hey man, it's a 4-hour drive for me. A
Right.
4-hour drive up there, a 4-hour drive back.
Yeah, that's
I gotta find somewhere to stay, and so they invite you to these things, and everybody there is getting paid. Everybody
right.
there is on somebody's payroll.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, I have to be up there on Sunday. I'm gonna go on Sunday. I'll come back on Monday.
Right. I
That's
can
kind of
understand.
how I look at it. So anyway, anything else, guys, before we go to Sean?
I was just going to bring up something really quick. I don't know if you guys have heard about, Tyler Perry paid the TSA workers, I think 250 TSA workers who had not been getting paid for, months and I think at least 6 weeks. He gave them $1,000 gift card. And I understand that they're being asked to return those gift cards because it's against the policy for them to receive gifts from anyone. But people like Tom Homan, who was caught on FBI hidden cameras accepting $50,000 cash, hasn't been required to return that $50,000. But these workers who haven't been paid, been coming to work every day, Tyler Perry was trying to show his appreciation to these people by giving them $1,000 gift cards, have been asked to return those gift cards. And that's a shame.
Wow.
Well, see, it's interesting. Part of how that came about, he and his crew went out there first and tried to give them cash.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that was against the law, so they couldn't take cash. So they took the money back and went back and gave them gift cards.
Right.
And so then they said the gift cards have to be returned because now they are getting paid and they can't accept gifts like that while on the payroll. So that just all happened over the weekend. But see, that made it looked a little embarrassing that Tyler Perry would go out there and do this. And then when they went back, it just kind of happened to all coincide that they came back on payroll and they're getting back pay at the time that they gave the gift cards. So, read between the lines.
Yeah, exactly. Read between the lines.
So, yeah, well, I don't know, man. It's crazy. We're in a crazy time. That's all you can say.
Right.
We're in a crazy time. Normal ain't normal.
You got that right.
Lies are told as the truth.
Don't believe what you see.
No. So let's go to Sean and see if she's got a minute for us. Sean, you got a minute?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's Tuesday, so let's talk about something real. Not everything that feels heavy is yours to carry. Sometimes we step into roles that we were never assigned. Fixer, healer, emotional home for someone else's storm. And while your heart may be big enough to hold it, that doesn't mean it is your responsibility to. There's a difference between being present and being consumed. You can love someone, support them, be there, and still have boundaries. Still choose yourself, still protect your peace. Because the truth is, the right connections don't require you to use yourself to keep them. So today, I want you to check in. Am I supporting or am I carrying? If it feels like too much, it probably is. So just give it back. Not with anger, not with guilt, just clarity. You deserve to show up whole and not stretch too thin. So that's it. That's your minute. I want you all to go out and have a great day. And if you don't want to, then don't you go ruining anybody else's because they can do it for themselves. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Well, certainly won't try to spoil anybody else's day as long as they stay out of mine. So that works for me.
That's the rule.
So let's go to our G-list guest. Hollywood's got the A-list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G-list. Our G-list guest today is Dr. Kristen Welsh. She's a chiropractor at Care More Chiropractic in Roswell, Georgia, where she specializes in helping individuals and families optimize movement, function, and overall health. She was raised in a chiropractic family. She brings a lifelong understanding of the connection between the spine, the nervous system, and whole body performance. She works with patients of all ages, including athletes, focusing on restoring proper spinal motion, supporting the nervous system, and helping the body function at its highest level. She is passionate about educating her community on how chiropractic care supports not just pain relief, but long-term health and performance on the field, in the gym, and in everyday life. I'm going to start off with Michael Walker because I think he's had an experience with Dr. Welsh, and you guys can go from there. Michael, you got it.
Well, can we bring Dr. Welsh in, please? Hello, Kristen. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
So I can't hear Michael right now again. So I'm not.
Okay. Well, you guys start off and see what we can do, and I'll just tell you what I'm saying.
Okay. Good morning, Christian. Thank you for joining us this morning. Can you hear me okay? I think she can hear me.
Obviously not.
Can you hear?
We
Can you
might
hear Barbara?
have to let her go out and come back in again.
Okay. I hear you, Tom. So I apologize for that. So
Okay.
You
You're not here, Michael or Barbara?
no, no, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Sean just put something in the chat here. She says, try leaving again, Dr. Welsh, and coming back in.
Absolutely.
Okay. And in the meantime, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story with Dr. Welsh, and she's hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. As many people know, I had a car accident actually 2 years ago where I was rear-ended sitting still at a traffic light. And at the time, did not notice an issue with my back. It was mainly I was being treated for my neck and my shoulder, and a little bit more of primarily just my neck issue and lower back, but not much. And after about 6 to 8 months of, you're back, Dr. Kristen, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, we're fine. I was telling Tom about when I came to see you after my car accident, and I had an issue. I was in the gym, I was working out, and I turned to my right to look over my shoulder, felt like somebody stabbed me. 3 days later, I could not sit up. I could not walk without a cane, and I was in pain like 24/7. And it was radiating down my quadricep as well as my lower right back. So I went in to see Dr. Kristen. She was referred to me, and I went in to see her. The day that I walked in, I was on a cane and I was hunched over. And she said that she could look at me and tell that I was in pain, but most people couldn't. I guess maybe I was hiding it, but she knew. So Dr. Kristen, why don't you start from there as to that day I walked in to see you?
So I think I was not expecting to see you that day. I think it was a kind of a little bit of an emergency on your part. And my team said, we'll get you in. And you walked in, and we took x-rays. And what's really amazing about the human body is structure relates to function. And if we listen, it lets us know that something's not right. And then we have to go in and fix it. And a lot of times people don't realize how important our structure is, how important it is that we don't just look good, but that the insides look good, that our spinal alignment is correct, because that will affect how we function. And in your case, when there's trauma, the impact of a car accident can be profound, and you may not feel the pain right away. In fact, for most people, it's a good 72 hours before the worst pain truly starts, and sometimes it's even longer than that. We will use the x-rays. That tells me what the body's alignment is, how everything is functioning. We do orthopedic tests, chiropractic tests to correlate, to figure out, and then we follow a pattern. And every person has a pattern, and it's a matter of us. In my case, I'm almost like a detective sometimes, where I go and I'm figuring out why you're feeling what you're feeling and what we need to do to get that corrected.
Okay.
what I found amazing is that I could tell her generally where it was and what was going on, but she could go right and touch the exact spot
Yeah.
just
Wow.
from talking to her
Yes.
and what
Mhm.
have you. And that I found that to be amazing. And I guess the best news you told me was that I got lucky. I missed having a herniated disc, so there would not have to be surgery, but it was going to be a long road back through rehabilitation and seeing you. And I will say, Dr. Kristen will come in on her off day to see me if need be,
Wow.
and gave me her personal cell number to call her. And these are a couple things she told me. She said, if you have problems urinating, go to the emergency room right away. And that kind of surprised me because she brought that up, but go ahead and expound on that.
So, when you start dealing in the medical world, a lot of times they talk about red flags. Those are things that you don't wait for to see if maybe it'll go away. And when you're dealing with disc injuries, a big red flag is not being able to urinate. If you know you have to go and nothing's coming out, what that means is that the nerve that's going from the spine to the bladder has pressure on it and it's not functioning. And the bladder's kind of like a balloon. And if you overstretch a balloon and leave it too full too long, it's not going to ever go back to its original size and shape and function right. Well, the same happens with the bladder. If it's not getting the right information and it gets too full and stays that way for too long, it can result in lifelong consequences that we don't want to have. So that falls into that red flag category where you go to the emergency room, I hurt my back and I can't pee. And I always tell my patients, if they don't get you back within 20 minutes, you really advocate for yourself, because a lot of times people don't realize, you see blood, guts, you think, oh my gosh, that's life threatening. We've got to take care of that first. And sometimes it's those less visible problems that are equally important to address quickly. So, does that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and that's why. So, yeah, you think, oh, I can't move. I'm stuck like this. Well, that's not as concerning immediately as other issues sometimes.
Dr. Welsh, I think I read that this is a family business for you, or this is
It is.
been in your family for a while. Can you talk a little bit about it?
So actually, my parents are both chiropractors, and the three of us, we are all. I'm actually a second generation, second career chiropractor, and all of us are second career chiropractors. My mom hurt her back, and at the time we were fairly new in Georgia. We were all, my two brothers and I, we were all in school, and she'd hurt her back, and she'd remembered at the gym she'd met a chiropractor one day, and she still had his card and went in to see him. And he's like, we were supposed to go to Disney World in 3 days. And he said, she's like, can you fix me? And he's like, well, if I can get you well enough to go to Disney World, you have to do everything I say for the next year. And my mom laughed because she was kind of stuck like this and could not move at all. And there was no way we were going to Disney World, but she did not want to be the bad guy. Well, 3 days later, we were in Disney World. She did not ride any of the roller coasters, but she kept her word because that's who she is. And she did everything our chiropractor said for the next year plus. We would go, and my brothers were on 2 visits a week to the allergist for the rest of their lives. They started getting adjusted. Their allergies completely went away, and they no longer get shots twice a week. At the time, I was an athlete, and I got told I had scoliosis, and my mom flipped out, as most moms would, and wanted to do everything she could so that I would not end up the way she did. And I was seeing the chiropractor 3 times a week while going to a private school, while lettering 12 times in high school, and did that for years. And the scoliosis completely cleared up. And the beautiful thing about that was it made me eligible to follow my dream. And I went to the Air Force Academy and graduated from there. And with scoliosis, that would have not been an option. So chiropractic completely changed my life. At the time, My dad was a vice president of a Fortune 500 company. He was not a chiropractor, had no plan. He's an engineer by trade, no plans of going into chiropractic. And we were freshmen in college, my twin brother and I, and he was hit by a car. He was on his bicycle. He was thrown through the air. He had a lacerated liver, clear through in two spots, compression fracture to the spine, collapsed lung, and a bunch of other stuff they were not worried about. They rushed him to the hospital, did emergency surgery. They stopped the internal bleeding. His could not get his lung to inflate. His blood stats were not going in the appropriate direction, and they did not expect my twin brother to survive the night. My parents got on the first flight out of Atlanta down to Southern Florida, and they got to his room, and the nurse in the ICU room had gone to nursing school in Atlanta, had dated a student from Life University, the best chiropractic school in the world, and she got chiropractic. Heard my mom was a chiropractor and said, I'll guard the door so you can adjust them, because my mom did not have hospital privileges. And my mom laughed because we were minors, and she's like, oh, what's he gonna do, sue me? I mean, oh wait, I'll sue myself. And she went into the room and she adjusted my brother's atlas, which is the top bone right here at the base of his skull. Instantaneously, there were breath sounds. That chiropractic adjustment, just as much as the modern crisis emergency therapy treatment that he received, saved my twin brother's life. And if it weren't for chiropractic, he would not be here today. My dad ended up in chiropractic school about a year and a half later. 2 years after I graduated college, my dad graduated chiropractic school. I wanted to, that kind of changed my life. And I knew at the time I had no plans of being a chiropractor, no plans of going into the family business. But that life-saving moment completely shifted my life, because I realized we all know modern medicine has its place in this world. You have a crisis, best place to go to is the hospital, especially here in America. But what most people don't realize is how important chiropractic is, how important our nervous system is, and how a subluxation, a bone being misaligned, can have devastating consequences in our world, in our life, in our function. And I decided I wanted to be a chiropractor. Military had no chiropractors. It was in 1991, maybe. And President Clinton was in power. He was in office and signed into law there would be chiropractors in the military. So here we are, a good 30, I'm not going to date myself, 30 something years later, 37, 38 years later, there are still no chiropractors on active duty. And I am really glad that I did not wait for the military to send me, and that I resigned my commission and ended up in chiropractic school. And now I get to serve my community by helping people get and stay healthy with chiropractic care. So
that's amazing.
Yes.
Barbara?
Dr. Welsh, thank you again for joining us today. I'm a firm believer in chiropractic services. I have been a patient for several times throughout the years, but there's people who don't believe in chiropractic services. At what point should a patient, if they're dealing with pain, choose between a chiropractor and a medical doctor? Is it something they should do in conjunction each time, or how would you explain that?
So I think chiropractic we are trained to know what is in our wheelhouse, what we can help with, and what we can't. And if somebody is having severe pain, that is especially with the spine, go to a chiropractor, see if it helps. It doesn't require, you don't have to believe in it. It doesn't,
Right.
It's gonna work whether you believe or not. And if it doesn't, you can always go the medical route. A lot of times, I see patients who, if they'd been in my office or in a chiropractor's office 10, 15, 20 years earlier, they wouldn't end up where they are now. I look at my former athletes and I'm like, if you've been to a chiropractor when you were playing football in high school and college, you would be much healthier, more mobile now than you are, and so always try.
Right.
And I see a lot of my patients, they also are doing PT. They are working with other healthcare professionals to address the whole package of why they're having the issues that they're having.
And as a follow up to that, is chiropractic services something that people should do on a routine basis, like going to get a massage? Should they just go on a regular routine basis to go visit a chiropractor to get alignment?
Absolutely. Well, I absolutely think so. I know me personally, I get adjusted once a week, whether I think I need it or not. And there are
Okay.
times I go more frequently. And there's a science behind it, because if the bone is misaligned for more than 7 days, the body will actually start to degenerate. That joint will start to degenerate. So if you don't want arthritis later in life, then you get it addressed at the time so that you
Right.
you don't have the problem later.
Right. Very good.
Yeah. Mm.
Right.
Kristen, let me ask you this. You know, early on, and I'll say early on in my life, I'd always heard that chiropractors were quacks. That's why they looked at chiropractic medicine. Well, I'm here to say that I don't believe that's the case, but why do you think that was the bad rap that chiropractors got for such a long time?
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what we do and the training that we have. But I also think that back in the 80s, there was a lot of fear because patients would go to the chiropractors and get well. Chiropractic started in 1895, but we weren't really licensed as medical providers, as healthcare providers, until I believe it was 1917 with the swine flu epidemic. And chiropractors were seeing the least healthy, the ones that were not expected to live. And we had a 99% survival rate. Patients who saw chiropractors lived, and those who saw medical doctors, they had about the opposite. They had a 90% death rate. So it was a terrible health epidemic that the world was going through, and chiropractic was working. And I think as time went on and people get well with chiropractic from things that are not back and neck pain, that it was concerning to the medical and pharmaceutical industries. And that is much easier to say, oh, they're quacks, than give any credence. And now, in modern research that is being done, the medical doctors, the research world is proving the connection between the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, and our health and how our body functions. And they're proving what chiropractors have said for the last over 100 years, 135 years, that about how chiropractic helps your body be healthy.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Congratulations. Your dad was the keynote speaker when you graduated from Life College. What was that like? That was an experience, wasn't it?
That was really that was really amazing, having my dad be there speaking. It was yeah, it was a really proud moment. I was at chiropractic school when there was a lot of turmoil in the profession and at the school, and there were not, it was one of the smaller classes in modern history that graduated. And having my dad there was truly amazing. He took his background from the telecommunications industry, and he had actually used his what he'd learned about business and law, and had helped come up with the theory that saved Life University from closing. And having him up there addressing my classmates, and knowing that if it weren't for him and several other doctors, some great attorneys, that we would not have Life University, that was really a full circle moment for me. So it was really, really awesome.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Can 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 chiropractors work in concert with masseuse? How does that work? It
Uh,
doesn't work.
Absolutely. So the muscles attached to the bones, I have a massage therapist on staff, and a lot of my patients see them because it will help speed up the process of the healing the body. They break down the scar tissue, get the muscles more mobile, more limber, and the adjustments will go easier. And it is very therapeutic. It also helps calm the nervous system. When we talk about what causes the issues in our bodies with the spine, the nervous system, it's stress. And that stress can be physical stress, chemical stress, emotional stress. And having a massage will help with all of those, and it can be very beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Christian, you mentioned, your brother's allergies went away, with the treatment. What else, and of course we know pain is something that
Yep.
people should go to chiropractors for. But what other types of things would chiropractic services treat and help with?
So as chiropractors, we are trained to detect and correct the subluxation. That's when one of the vertebrae are misaligned. Now, and that's all technically I treat.
Okay.
What I hear from my patients is, oh, I can sleep better. Oh, I'm not taking as much insulin. Oh, my thyroid is functioning better. Oh, my allergies are gone away. I don't have headaches anymore. I don't have cramps in every month. I all of a sudden have never gotten pregnant after trying for years, and the only thing that changed in my world is getting adjusted, and now I'm pregnant. Could that be? And so anything our body does can and is affected by a misalignment in the spine. So while we don't treat it, you can see effects. It can help and affect that.
Yes, that's awesome. I actually watched a video over the weekend where this young lady had her jaw adjusted, and how she screamed in pain. And well, she's not screaming in pain, in joy afterwards, because she said she had been having headaches and stress and carrying, pain in her neck for years. And it took the chiropractor all of basically 10 minutes, I think, of doing some type of adjustment to her jaw. And
Mhm.
she said instantaneously she felt relief.
Yes. Mhm.
That's
It's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah. Trigeminal neuralgia. I mean, I have seen so many cases of people who came in who we were their absolute last resort, that somebody had said, oh, have you ever seen a chiropractor? Have you ever tried this? And they come in and they're like, if you can't help me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's amazing.
Life
It's
changing.
amazing. It is
Yes.
life changing. Absolutely. Hmm.
So, Michael, I'm assuming that your pain went away.
Yes, it did. It did. More importantly, it was not so much the pain, because I have a pretty high threshold for pain, but it was the fact that it inhibited my ability to do work because I sit at the desk all the time. And so sitting there, and Kristen said that sitting is becoming the new, what did you say? Tell us.
Smoking. It is for our generations what smoking was for our grandparents and our great grandparents. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we all sit at desks pretty much and use computers now, and we're not up and moving around. And so she also told me that I need to start to get up and stretch and not stay in that position so long. So what I did was I tried to follow everything she said, and I started to turn around. And I'm here to testify. It was interesting though. Also, when I would go in and adjust, she said, "Okay, this is gonna hurt," and she would be doing stuff trying to make it hurt. It didn't hurt me that much.
Okay.
So I think that was a little bit of a challenge there. Maybe because I was so dense, I don't know. But other people maybe felt the pain. I didn't. I felt some relief, is what I felt. But I can tell you now, I've come so attuned that I can tell when I need an adjustment. Whereas we've come from the time that she was seeing me 4 days a week to 3 days a week, down to 2, and now it's once a week and what have you. But
That's
I can
great.
tell when I need to go in, so I'll call up and say, "Can you get me in?" But the other thing that also helped me is that because of mine was brought on by a car accident, she looked at my medical history and everything and said, you don't have a history of back issues, in other words. So
Right.
it's easy to show that this happened as a result of the accident, because in your prior life, there's never been any issues with you from that standpoint.
That's awesome.
Sounds good. Dr. Welsh, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about this morning that we haven't asked you?
Well, you talked earlier. I was listening in on you guys talking, and you were talking about the human brain and how even in our 90s, hundreds, 116, we can still learn. And it's all about neuroplasticity. It's about what's going on up in here. And that kind of that ties right in with chiropractic and some of the newer techniques that are being developed within my profession, dealing with athletes, dealing with people who dealing with post concussion work, things like that. And it's all about our body and our brain can heal from just about anything if we give it the right environment. And it's amazing how powerful our brain and nervous system are, especially if we remove the interference and allow the body to function at 100%. So I had not heard about a woman learning to read at 116, and I thought that was amazing. And I hope everyone knows that it's all about neuroplasticity. It's about getting our bodies to function, letting it function and work.
That's great.
If you were not a chiropractor, what would you be?
Ooh, I prior to becoming a chiropractor, I wanted to be a pediatrician and work with children. But if I could do and be anything, it would have been to be an archaeologist. I loved archaeology as a child, and that I actually was 10 years old and found a dinosaur bone. And
Wow.
in the full circle, how there are no accidents, no coincidences. The bone I found was a vertebra from a mosasaur at 10 years old. So, yeah, I would be an archaeologist.
Wow.
Is that what I remember you said? Was that what you studied in school? Was that what you graduated in?
No, actually, I at the Air Force Academy, I was a political science major. So I took my first engineering class and decided, I don't want to be an engineer. Math. So I kind of changed routes and went political science. So yeah.
Hey, I was telling these people yesterday. I was at this meeting, and I think it was my freshman year. I had Spanish, and we were on a quarter system. And so the first quarter I made a B, the second quarter I made a C, the third quarter I was in trouble. I went to Dr. Reyes was his name. He was Cuban, and he would talk so fast I couldn't, it was like, no, you got to go slow, man. I'm trying to learn this stuff. And so I went to see him. I said, Dr. Reyes, I'm never going to need to use this anytime in my life. So can you help a brother out? Turns out I probably needed it more than I thought I would.
Yes.
Kristen, I have one more question I'd like to bring up is, with the advent of AI now, and I'm not talking about A1 steaks also. That's an inside joke. But anyway,
it's funny, dude.
With AI now, tell me how that integrate into your practice as being a chiropractor, because they're talking about AI having an impact on a lot of different industries. Now, I will say what I think is kind of interesting is that when I go in to check in for you, I have a little iPad I go over to, and I put in a code, which is the last 4 digits of my phone number. But then up pops a chart, and I have to tell you where I have pain, what percentage of it, and actually touch a spot on there that tells you where the pain is and what have you. And then when I get back to the room that you're going to see me, and you pull that up and you're looking at all of this, and you also dictating and doing a report. So you're incorporating that. Would you expound on that a little bit, how AI is helping you?
So it's making my note taking so much easier. But it really and technology is great because then I can see my x-rays. I have all of my everything I need is right here in an iPad, which is a little overwhelming sometimes because back when I started, I had plain films. I used to look at them, I would memorize them, I'd have to know everything about every patient. And now I have like a cheat sheet. So it's easier for me. The beautiful thing is the job security for me is that AI, a computer can't.
Oh man.
Oh man, somebody unplugged it. Oh,
Okay.
There she goes.
So here I am. Sorry. So AI can't adjust a patient. A computer can't do what I do, but it can help me document so I can serve more people quickly or quickly, faster and easier.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
helps with efficiency and all of that type of stuff.
Right.
It
Yeah.
provides you almost like an assistant because
Yes.
you can go back and refer to that. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, Dr. Welsh, thank you. It's been very informative.
Yes.
I learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience learned a lot. So thank you very much for sharing this information with us today. Any final words from Michael Barber with Dr. Welsh?
Just want to say thank you for joining us. This has been very informative.
Very much so. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And thanks for getting me back to health because I've come a long way since I started seeing you.
Yes, you have. I like seeing you smile. So thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Have
As we close out Women's History Month, and we look back at the goals and the objectives of the month. The goals and objectives of Women's History Month, first of all, were to honor the women, celebrate the diverse contributions of women who are leading sustainability efforts across the environment, economic, educational, and social justice, to educate people, raise awareness about the important historical and contemporary roles of women, to inspire people, empower individuals and institutions on how to take action toward equity and justice in their own spheres of influence, to connect, build bridges across generations, geographies, and disciplines, and encourage a long-term vision for our future where women's leadership is central to thriving communities and a healthy planet. And here at TWT, we try and do our part to move those goals and objectives along. And so that's our show for today. We thank the audience. We appreciate you. We thank our G-List guest, Dr. Kristen Welsh. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. And thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And as always, a special thanks to you, the audience. And that's it for this March 31st in the year of 2026. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. You got an extra smile, give it to somebody today. It just might make their day. Enjoy yourself, make every day count. Don't let a day go by that you don't take the time to make your life or somebody else's life better. Stay safe. Blessings. Peace.